the beautiful souls who are in alignment with this great program. Magnificent wisdom from the great spiritual author Percival through his book Thinking and Destiny. And this has been given to us thanks to Brahmarshi Pitamaha Patriji, who found it an ideal book, the contents of which will make us go faster in the path of enlightenment. So friends, I have the pleasure to introduce my life partner S.K.Rajan, who is an accomplished, experienced meditator for the last over 20 years, and Purnima, who is also a meditator for over 20 years. And both of them have read the book Thinking and Destiny and have been very greatly influenced, just as I have been influenced by this great book. Percival is unique in many ways insofar as this book is concerned, because this knowledge and wisdom that is contained in this book has come to him through some unknown great exalted masters who have conveyed it to him after he had a strange experience in New York while he was passing along 14th Street, and plenty of light started entering his body. From then on he got this message that he should convey all this knowledge to the entire humanity. So he took his time to prepare the book, and over a period of almost 32 to 35 years, he wrote the book by dictating it to Benoni B. Gattel at intervals between 1912 and 1932 initially. This book was first printed and released to the public under the heading Law of Thought. Later, after almost 14 reprints of this book, the name was also changed to Thinking and Destiny, because Percival believes it is thinking that influences and creates our destiny. He is very humble while not taking credit for all the knowledge that has been given, and he says it's not his own knowledge, it has been only passed on to him. So he has only been a conduit for this whole exercise. There's one other matter which I would like to read to show how much he identifies with this universe. I am reading the quotation right now. Quote, "What I have been conscious of while thinking about such subjects as space, units of matter, constitution of matter, intelligence, tune, time, dimensions, the creation and the exteriorization of thoughts will, I hope, have opened realms for future exploration and exploitation. By that time, right conduct should be a part of human life and should keep abreast of science and invention. Then civilization can continue and independence with responsibility will be the rule of individual life and of the government." Unquote. So here he mentions, or he expresses so vividly and so candidly, that he has got a hope that this wisdom will carry all of us forward to better existence, better lives, better quality of lives. So friends, with these words, we start this program, and today the topic is human body. Every human body that comes into this world is fashioned in its mother according to the form, the soul which enters her body through her breath and causes the conception of the body which is to be fashioned. At birth, the physical life breath of the breath form enters the infant body, and in the heart it unites with the form aspect and then is the breath form. Thereupon, the breath form performs its functions as the living soul of the body. The form is, and throughout that lifetime it will be, the type or pattern according to which the living breath of the breath form will build out into a visible structure the units of nature, matter, solid, fluid, airy and radiant, of which that changing body is composed. When the doer separates from the body at death, the breath form leaves with it. The nature units of which the body is composed return to the four states or elements to which they belong.
Hello friends, so Percival has given us a picture of how the human body is formed. So he says that we enter the mother's womb through the breath of the mother. So through that, and then breath form is formed gradually. The astral part, that is the form part of the body, is first created. Then it goes on to exteriorize. It goes on to become physical. So that is what happens, and all the four states are also developing when the body is developing inside the mother's womb. These also have already developed, and finally here the materialization happens. So that is how it is formed, and he says after death the breath form doesn't stay in the physical realm, goes on with the doer. That is what he says.
Yeah, it's beautiful because certain things normally we do not know that so very minutely. That is what Percival is coming out with. That is at birth, the infant that is born gets its life breath. That is through breathing. It gets its own breathing. Until that time it was breathing along with its mother, and now at birth it breathes by itself, and through that the everything is sent inside, and the heart is connected, the breath form is connected, so everything gets connection through that breath, through the breath that it breathes. Then the soul is connected, then the body starts growing according to the already planned and designed form. So the form, everything has been planned earlier to the birth itself, and then every cell starts growing, multiplying, and we know the food intake is divided to form all the body parts. So by and by we see the child growing. So it's already programmed. Otherwise, it cannot equally divide the food that is needed to build up the whole body. So all these things happen, but we don't even think or consider that some great energy is there behind it which forces all these things to happen. We think it is normally if you give food, the baby grows. It's not like that. The energy has to be there, which is hidden to our physical eyes. So that is the actual part, is the energy part that plays a very great role in building the body and building the character, building the identity. Everything is dependent on the energy that is there. So he has beautifully put it. So it is mother has to be in a normal and calm posture or always there should be calmness in the mind. For that, every pregnant lady has to meditate throughout, so that the child gets a fantastic energy in the womb itself, and at birth also the child will be able to grow spiritually very high. So the mother, the responsibility is there in the mother. So we have to consider this. That's why in PSSM there is a special program for pregnant ladies. So they have to meditate, and how they should have thoughts in their minds, and how they should talk, how they should behave themselves. All these things have got an effect on the baby. So food, that intake, everything is being dealt with. So it is very much very well explained by Percival, that the mother is the root cause for the baby to be growing very well, the body to grow very well. The mother is the primary source of energy. So that we should understand. But other qualities, of course, they develop from other past lives and the individuality of that soul, of that person.
The form aspect of the breath form, that is, the soul, accompanying the doer portion that had been in the body, passes through the various after-death states, and according to the doer's destiny, it will in due time be again the form which will be the cause of the conception and the form for the building up of another human body, another nature machine in which the re-existing doer will resume its work in the world and live out that portion of its destiny which it had made by its thinking. From these statements it will be seen that the vague and indeterminate, equivocal and bewildering term soul alludes to that very important elemental entity, the breath form, a nature unit which is conscious as its function in the most advanced degree in nature. The doer is feeling and desire in the body. Feeling, though generally believed to be a fifth sense as touch, is not a sense and it is not of nature. Feeling is the passive side or aspect of the doer. Desire is the active side. Feeling and desire in the body are not two or separate. They blend into each other and are always functioning together, an inseparable twain. The opposites in the doer, one dominates the other and had determined the sex of the body.
So this is a very important paragraph which we need to understand. So Percival here says that the breath form after death goes with the doer, and then it passes all the after death states, and then goes on to become another new breath form in a new body. So that is what, according to the thinking, the previous thinking of the earth life and the thinking after death determines what kind of a body or what kind of an earth life will that particular soul will have. So here he also says that soul is a very vague word. It is not very clear to people. So here he says that breath form is the soul, which is very clear. Like after he mentioned its breath form, it is clear even to me. So I think it's clear to all the viewers too. The breath form, that is the form part of the breath, is the soul. So that becomes that brings in a new destiny according to the thinking, and takes birth in a new body and goes on to finish all its the exteriorization which it had planned to experience. So that is what he says, and this is so very important. So you can read this particular paragraph and get to know more about it, and watch this this explanation, this episode clearly, so as to understand the whole paragraph further on.
Yeah, very well explained by Purnima. It is the breath form that we call as soul. That is what he says. Percival says that it is nothing but the soul, because soul is vaguely used. They do not know the real meaning. So it is the breath form. So at the time of death, yes, everything is imprinted there for the next lifetime. Life on earth is already determined at the time of death. So death of a person denotes, or it gets that much knowledge to have another life or not. That is also decided, and everything is imprinted in the breath form. So that the body is separated, the doer is separated, and the breath form goes away, and then again the when it is in the psychic field, it is again brought back, and again new breath form comes inside the infant, and then the whole thing is again enacted. So in a better manner. So every lifetime we become better and better, and until we reach the ultimate stage when we need not have another birth, we go on like that. This is how cyclically all these things happen. So the desire and the feeling part. Feeling always is thought of as a sensory organ, but that is the touch, the feeling of touch. But it is not like that. The skin is not an organ for giving us sense, but it is not of nature also. Feeling belongs to the doer, and feeling and desire, they go together. That's what he says. So if one dominates the other, then in that domination, the sex of the child to be born will be determined only at the time. So which is dominating, we should see, and doer, then accordingly the sex will be determined. The doer is having two minds. We have already two parts of a mind, that is the feeling mind and the desire mind. They both work together, inseparable, and he says these two are very, very important for us because they convey everything to us. That is, in the sense, us means the doer in the body. So like that he goes on very well in detail, whatever happens every time we are born.
In feeling and desire, I would like to add a point. Feeling is the passive side and the desire is the active side, he says. So the desire of the doer determines, both put together determines the sex of the body.
Whichever is dominating, whichever dominates, either the feeling may dominate or the desire may dominate. Accordingly, the sex of the body will be, of the infant will be determined. That is what he says.
That which feels and desires and thinks in the human body, that which experiences and does the things that are done in the world, is the doer. The doer in the body, however, is only one of the 12 portions of the entire doer. These 12 portions are inseparable, but each portion re-exists separately. The 12 re-exist successively, one after another, one at a time, and in life after life. The entire doer is only one part, the psychic part, of the three integral parts of its immortal triune self. The other two are the thinker, the mental part, and the knower, that is the noetic part. Because of the imperfections and limitations of the human body, the thinker and the knower parts of the triune self do not dwell in the body as does the embodied portion of the doer part. They merely contact the body by means of nerve centers. Hereafter, for the sake of brevity, when the meaning of the text is clear, the single word doer will be used instead of such words as doer in the body, embodied doer portion, the portion of the doer existing in the human body.
So this again is a very well put by Percival. So he says that doer has 12 parts basically, but we exist in successive lifetimes. Each part comes onto the physical plane, and we keep coming back with the rest of the one after the other, that is successively, he says. And he wants to term this as a doer, not as doer in the bodies for brevity's sake, and also he says the other two parts of the great one whole doer is the thinker and the knower, which is in the other realms, that is so in the other realms, and comes into play and as and when the doer needs it. So that is what I understood from this paragraph.
Yeah, it's very well put by Percival. That is, he divides the entire consciousness into three parts. That is how it is. So only the doer part, that is the three parts means doer, thinker and the knower. So only the doer part comes and plays the whole drama here on this earth. And in that also there are 12 sections. So each section will come in one birth. One birth, only one doer part will come, 1/12 will come. Then the next birth, next part will come. Like that it goes on for 12. Again it repeats. So it successively comes in every 12 part will come into the body. Every time we see there is improvement in our attitude, our behavior, our speech, our thinking, everything. So the thinker and the knower part are unable to come and stay in the physical body because of the limitations of the physical body and the imperfections of the physical body. Because of that, those two are unable to come because they are very perfect, they are excellent, they are radiant, they live in a very permanent and a radiant field somewhere. So, but they contact the physical body through the nerve centers. Now and then they contact the physical body only through our nerve centers. That's what he clearly says. So, this is how it is all happening. So, we are the doer in the body. So, we should remember this all the time. We are not the body. The body is only an instrument through which we act, we perform our duties, we live in this whole earth life only through the doer. Only it is the doer is the brain behind, or the that is the motor behind, which activates this whole machinery of body, physical body, and we live here.
The human body is on the lowest degree of the physical plane of all the worlds and spheres. The units of the matter of the world of birth and death are kept circulating through or in contact with human bodies. It is well to examine the universe as a whole and in all its parts. In order to understand the human body and its relation to this complex universe and the relation of the doer in that body to the nature side and to the intelligent side of the universe, it is well to examine the universe as a whole and in all its parts. A human body is the model or plan of the changing universe. In it, nature units pass through series of the fourfold states of nature matter. Thus, four physical masses of units constitute the human body: the visible, the solid body, and three inner invisible unformed masses or potential bodies, namely the fluid solid, the airy solid, and the radiant solid, which are at present beyond scientific investigation. Among this fourfold constitution of the human body and the fourfold constitution of the spheres and the worlds and planes, there is an interrelation, an action and reaction.
Again, he has put it so very technically here. How our human body is, here. So he's given the other parts, like how it is formed or it has come into existence. So basically, first he goes on to say that this body replicates the universe outside. So if we look into our own body, we will find a great universe inside. See, if we think of how every cell of our body works how our eyes work. If you take every organ, it is so very wonderful to study about it, and there is a great universe inside. So he says we can see the connection between the whole universe and our body. So it's so similar. That is what he says. And there are four parts of this. He says in the technical part, he says there is solid, fluid solid, airy solid, and the radiant solid parts, which makes the body complete. So how that works in the other planes, and how it it has come into existence, is what he wants to tell us here.
Yeah, it is all beautifully put. That is the how the physical body is being formed, and without the doer, without any activity, without a life in the body is the lowest gross matter that is existing here. That's all. So in all the worlds, everything else is much superior. That's what it says. The physical body as such is of no value. But with the doer in the body, it activates everything. It goes through all the four elemental states. That is, elements are there. There is a solid, and fluid solid, airy solid, and the radiant. That is these four states of elements. So these are the basic ingredients with which the physical body is being formed. So it goes through all these. The experiences are passing through all these forms. Sometimes it is a solid, sometimes the airy solid. Like that, it goes on. The experiences are felt or experienced by the doer through these elements. So when it goes through, so all the other four worlds are connected to this. Four elemental worlds are connected to this physical body, and we experience all that. So that experience is very important. The energy which activates, enlivens the physical body, that is more important than the physical body itself. That's what we have to know. And even if the physical body goes away, that is, it perishes, even then the doer is always there. It is one of the trinities, that is the triune self. So it's very powerful, very exceedingly energetic, and that part always is present, and it goes away from the physical matter again to form another physical matter, and to again enliven that matter. So it goes on like that in cyclic way, so that the doer part, that is we get lot of wisdom or knowledge first of all, and then our wisdom is developed through all the experiences that we undergo in this lifetime. So that is what he says. It's very important to know all this, because otherwise we will never know. We'll give more importance to the physical body. Physical body is the gross material form that is available here, is the lowest. That's what he says in all the universes put together. So the universe, of course, when the doer comes in the body, the entire universe is replicated there in the body. That is what he says.
The human body is built in 4 sections or cavities: the head, the thorax, the abdomen, and the pelvis. These relate to the 4 planes of the physical world, to the 4 worlds of the sphere of earth, and the 4 great spheres of the elements of fire, air, water, and earth. Each of the 4 senses is passive and active. To illustrate, in seeing, when the eye is turned toward an object, the sense of sight passively receives an impression. By the active light or fire, this impression is aligned so that it is seen. A human body is the meeting ground of the nature side and the intelligence side of the changing universe, and in the body there is a continuous interaction between the two.
So again here it is so beautifully put. So he's divided this body. It is actually even doctors, they divide this body into 4 parts. That is the head, the thorax, the abdomen, and the pelvis. So all these put together, it is related to the other four parts of the form side, that is the subtle side, and and also the elements, that is the elements, he says. Four elements. So all these are connected, how it is connected and all, he says. And for it is, this physical body is a meeting ground of the nature side and the intelligence side, is what he says. This is a very important point, I feel. So because when we have the nature side and the intelligence side, we can do the best in this body, is what I feel.
Yes, very rightly put by Purnima. That is, yeah, we have to know all these things for the technical aspect of the physical body, how the four elements are, they constitute to form the body, and we are constantly in touch with the four spheres they represent. That is the fire, water, earth, and fire, water, earth, and air. So all the four elements, we are connected with those spheres. Those spheres are there, like the earth sphere is there on which we live in. So like that, the four spheres are there, and we are constantly we are in touch with that. So through this, we pass through so many experiences out of this, and it is the nature elements. They also come here to help and to activate the physical body, and as well as the great intelligence. So the doer takes both from the elements and the intelligence, and then it enacts it makes the body to enact or do its part. So we come here to do our part perfectly. So it is up to us, the doer, to have the best of experiences so that he can learn from them and then improve himself. That is what is the real purpose, the basic purpose of the life of every human being on this earth.
The plan relating to the earth sphere is given here. The senses of the body are elemental beings, nature units. They are personalized parts of the four elements of invisible nature. The senses are developed and drawn and bound into the human body and bear the seal of the doer that inhabits it. The senses do not feel, neither does nature feel, but through the senses, the doer in the human feels and desires. The matter which composes the human body is impressed directly by the thinking and the thoughts of the doer in the human body. All the matter in the human world has passed, does pass, and will again and again pass through human bodies in streams of units, cyclically by circulation.
So here again, Percival says that our senses are the ones which give us the experience of the physical world. So many other things he has put very technically, and this is simply wonderful knowledge which we are getting. And he says, I think he goes on to say that there is through the senses we have the feeling and the desire part working through us, and that's how this whole birth and death is happening cyclically with the thinking of the doer. So thinking gets impressed in the breath form, and that takes a material exteriorization, and then it goes on like that, and we exit from this plane, again take another birth. This is so very, it's a cycle that works on in accordance with our thinking. So we should know then that what we should think so as to not come back in this physical plane. That is the message we have to get from this paragraph, I think. So what we have to rightly think so as to achieve that purpose that we are here for, and not come back again.
Yeah, it is very clear that through the senses only we get all the impressions, the feelings, everything. And desire is also activated by feelings. And feelings are also activated by the desire. So it is mutually dependent. And through the senses only it is all got done. So what happens, the four senses is, he says there are only four senses, and the four senses, they are both active and passive. So when it is passive, if suppose we see something, it's only mere seeing, that's all. But when the active part takes place, then we really look and the impression is there. Gets impressed in our mind. Whatever we see, the object that we are seeing the impression is formed in the mind, because the seeing gets active. When it is passive, only seeing happens. But when it is active, the looking, the impression gets printed in the mind. So that is how we see it. So in every sense it is like that. Four senses, the active part and the passive parts are there. So we get our experience through the senses. So along with the nature units. Nature units also, they play a part in all these things. So the entire life is full of experiences through the senses, and yes, we have to cater to the senses and then get the experiences through that. See, for example, even eating is, if you do conscious eating, definitely we get the pleasure of that taste. So that happiness, that joy we have to get. Unless we are conscious of whatever we are doing, we will never get the experience through that. So that is what he means by his words. So let us improve our awareness in this lifetime, so that we can lead a better life and have much better experiences.
So friends, we have seen how the human body functions, and it is for us to keep the human body in its absolute perfection. So with these words, we conclude today's session, and so I thank Rajan and Purnima, and once again thank you until the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.